Thank you, Mitesh. At this time, I'd like to open it up to RAB members if they have any questions regarding Mitesh's presentation about Treasure Island groundwater. Thank you, Dale.
Mitesh, starting with, what am I starting with? Site 6. You mentioned that it was only, the examination was only going to involve firefighting training facilities. I also sit on the Alameda RAB, and they did not limit themselves to the firefighting training facility. They studied every place where there was some kind of, now they're an industrial site like Hunter's Point as opposed to this one, which is more admin. But they did not limit themselves to fire training. They studied every site that could have the possibility of some kind of problem associated with it, including the wharf area where planes were coming off of ships to be repaired. So they ended up with 42 sites, not one. I expected them to say, and their site is called Site 6 too, which might be a military thing like Buttercup and Pandemonium. They did not limit themselves to what you say is the directive, and there the Navy co-chair did not say that they were limited when she listed all of the 42 may be the wrong number. I have asked her to give me information about what numbers, what site numbers to look for, or building numbers to look for, but she rattled off a whole list of stuff. Now, as I said, it's industrial. But why did you not look at, oh, I know, I asked you that question last time and you told me the answer. I'll ask it again and you can tell me. Why didn't you check the parts cleanup in Building 3, for example?
So, good question. And I'll double check with Alameda to see how many sites that they actually ended up with. We actually used the same procedure to analyze the base. It was a set procedure that we were given, a set of questions about the sites at each base. So the same procedure was used in every base to vet areas. Same procedure was used on Alameda as on Treasure Island. And like you said, due to the nature of Alameda, a lot different. Treasure Island just lent itself only to the firefighting training facility. That's because that's the only documented area where the chemicals were actually stored and used. So.
Now, Foreman had told us, back when I was arguing with him vociferously, that PFAS and PFAS-A were never used here because they were too expensive, because they were too hard to use, and that's when I knew he was lying. But he did say it was stored here in case a ship came in and they wanted to fill up supplies so that they were fully stocked. Did you find where that storage area was? Because there's no wharves of size out there that would accommodate a destroyer.
Yes, good question. Our understanding of the use of the chemicals came from interviews with personnel. And they did say they had the equipment and they stored them at Site 6. What they also said is they didn't like using them for other reasons, and so they typically focused their training using other traditional methods, diesel and whatnot. So it was stored at Site 6. So we knew we had the equipment there, but we were relying upon the information from the interviews that said no, they really didn't use it very much because it was a pain. I think that's why you see sort of the limited amount that we have, because they had to test the equipment per regulations, but they didn't like using it as much as maybe other bases did, and that's sort of a personal preference, I guess, but they did have it, they did use it. And now we have the results of of using it.
Yeah, but you haven't said where it was stored for loading onto vessels.
It may not have, it may
Hose
have.
all the way down?
No, the material was actually stored at Site 6. Everything would have been stored at Site 6.
Well, then how did you get it on a boat? If it's up there and
Well,
the,
Site 6 was training, so when it was actually on a vessel, totally different situation.
no, but he said that it was, storage, vessels were topped up. And this has been said.
Oh, that's not my understanding.
Okay.
He may have misquoted himself on that, but that's not my understanding. This was strictly training, really didn't have anything to do with the loading of the ships themselves.
Okay.